But, Rob, let's start with the first game, the Chiefs and the Dolphins. Now, of course, Tyreek Hill was the all-world receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs, won a Super Bowl with them along with Patrick Mahomes. And last year when he wanted to stay and was ready to re-up with them, they wouldn't pay him. And so ultimately he was traded to the Miami Dolphins. And Rob, his career has skyrocketed. It already was great. He was already a Pro Bowler, already an All-Pro, and a Super Bowl champion for that matter. But now with Miami, he's established himself as arguably the best receiver in the game and arguably a top 10 receiver of all time, depending on who you ask. So his individual profile has risen since he's been in Miami with his quarterback Tua. And he was talking about with Brandon Marshall, friend of the show, about the upcoming game. This is his first game, Rob, against his former team, the Chiefs. And Brandon Marshall, who was a receiver himself, a great one, he asked Tyreek to compare his old quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, to his new one, Tua Tagovailoa. And here's what he said.
Pick one or the other.
Okay.
Tua or Mahomes?
Well, we all know, man, Pat is still the best quarterback in the NFL, obviously, man. Like, what he does is just something that no quarterback in this league can copy. You feel me? His ability to create plays when there aren't plays to make is just ridiculous. And then just the arm talent and just, him being him, and it's just crazy. Now, you would think that a receiver like me would want to play, would like that, right? But I'm in Miami. I'm with Tua, man. I'm living the life, man. Tua is accurate. He's on time. He's ball is right here, quarterback friendly. Like, so I got to go with my boy Tua, man. I love Pat. He's the best quarterback in the league, but I got to go with my boy One, man. One is different.
All right, Rob, there you have it. What are your thoughts?
What did he say? He didn't say anything.
He said that, I think he said a lot. He said what I think most of us believe, I certainly do, that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. But I guess he prefers playing with Tua, and a lot of people will say, and there probably is some truth to this, that of course he's going to say that, right? I mean, he's there with Tua. Beyond the numbers, that's his quarterback right now, so why in the world would you upset the apple cart and say you'd rather still play with Mahomes or something like that? But I think there was more to it, and what he said, Rob, is interesting. Because Patrick Mahomes, part of his greatness is extending plays, right? Is when the pass rush is coming, he can get away from the rushers and still make a great ball. He can throw it across the field. He can throw stuff that, wasn't in the playbook, right? And he makes, he just elongates plays and makes great things happen with his athleticism and his arm talent. But he said Tua is more on time. And I think when you think back to a lot of the completions, especially the long ball completions, Rob, with Tyreek and Patrick Mahomes, I remember a lot of those were off schedule, Mahomes scrambling, and then heaving it up. And a lot of times Tyreek would come back to the ball. Or it wasn't like he's catching it in stride. I'm not saying it never happened, but when you look at his plays, Tyreek's long balls with Tua, they are more on schedule. He's hitting me in stride on this fly pattern or post pattern, or it's a slant across the middle. I'm catching it in stride and I'm running after the catch. So I think he said a lot, and I can understand. Sometimes a receiver might prefer to play with a guy who might not be quite as talented, but his throws are all on schedule. You don't have to, okay, he's scrambling, so now let me just go find the open spot, And that's what obviously Mahomes and Kelsey do all the time. Kelsey's always just finding the open spot, and that can make it a little more difficult possibly on a receiver. So I think that's what he's saying, and I get where he's coming from.
Yeah, I didn't get that at all. I thought he was afraid to really say what he really wanted to say. And if Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback, just say that. I don't think that.
Well, he did say that.
No, I don't think that. But he said, but I would rather play with Tua because he's more accurate. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has won 2 MVPs, 2 Super Bowls. Tua hasn't won jack. I'm sorry, Chris. There's no comparison between the two. So he can say he'd rather play with him, but I'm not going to buy that. Because if I look at the resumes of both players, if you said you're picking Patrick Mahomes and he's the best quarterback in the league, then what argument is there? Tua's really going to be upset that you picked Patrick Mahomes because this guy's won 2 MVPs in his first 5 or 6 years in the league? That's what I'm saying. And if he didn't want to answer the question, say I'd rather not answer that question or whatever, but to say, yeah, I really, Patrick's the best quarterback in the league, but I'd rather play with the guy who's not the best quarterback in the league. That's what I'm talking about. This is the wishy-washy, not saying anything. I understand if you don't want to answer because you're going to hurt your quarterback's feelings, Chris, but I don't think if you're Tua, you're going to have your feelings hurt because somebody says Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. What is there to argue with?
Don't you think that Tyreek's numbers with Tua back up what he was saying?
No, his
numbers are way better with Tua. But that doesn't mean he thinks Tua is better. Like, if I asked a basketball player, who would you rather play with, LeBron or Kevin Durant? And he said, well, look, LeBron's obviously better, and LeBron's, arguably the GOAT, and he's better than Durant. But I'm going to be honest. LeBron's ball dominant. KD can fit into any system. He's not going to be dribbling all the time. I'd rather play with KD, but LeBron is better. That's similar to what Tyreek is saying right there.
I just I don't look at it that way. I look at it from the standpoint, if he's the greatest quarterback and you said he's Jordan-esque and other people are saying the greatest quarterback.
I stand by that.
He has a chance to be this, that, and the other thing. If I'm a receiver, I want to play with the best quarterback. Period.
Why would you want to play with him when your numbers are better?
You're
with
in a different situation. You were in Kansas City with a Hall of Famer in Kelsey. So he cut into some of the plays and some of the yards that you get now in Miami because you're by far better than everybody else, or at least on that track where you were playing with a Hall of Fame guy.
Waddle's tough. Waddle's very good.
No, but he ain't no Hall of Famer like Kelsey. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think he's being wishy-washy. I think it's an intricate statement, a nuanced statement.
I wouldn't allow him to answer it
understand what he's saying. You would have tried to change it. You would have confronted him, I guess, on it, but that doesn't mean he would have changed his answer.
I just would say I don't want to hear about everybody's attributes. Okay?
He said Rob Mahomes is better. He didn't back up from that.
Yeah, but to say, why wouldn't you want to play with the best quarterback? Now, he could have easily said, I love playing with Patrick Mahomes. The only reason I'm not playing with him is they didn't want to pay me. But that doesn't take away from what Tua's done. But the best quarterback in the NFL right now is Patrick Mahomes, and that's all great receivers want to play with the best quarterback. That's it. Is that a crime?
I think that'd be stupid to say.
Well, then he shouldn't answer that
because you playing with Tua. Now I think his answer was honest, but it might not be. It might not be, but I'm just saying he made a point. This quarterback's more accurate. This quarterback's more on time. I prefer that. I think if I will ask Greg next time he's on, Greg Jennings, because I don't take this 100%, but if I recall correctly, I think I had a conversation with him once. I don't think it was on the air. But he was saying you prefer a quarterback that's more on time than one that might be better, but he's scrambling. And it was like, I don't remember I don't even think he was comparing a quarterback to Aaron Rodgers, but Rodgers was a lot of off time at times and, scrambling, extending plays.
Well, he could drop the ball
and making
wherever.
It.
Yeah.
Well, so can Mahomes.
I'm going to say this. When Tyreek played with Mahomes, he had averaged 5 catches, 73 yards, 13.8 yards per reception. With Tua, it's 7 catches, 109 yards, and 15.1. So it's not like it's a gazillion.
That's a huge difference, right? That's 30 yards a game. That's
but I'm talking about
difference.
yards per reception is not that much.
What is it? What's the difference?
13.8 and 15.1.
I mean, most receivers
That's
are
not
in that
that much.
general area, though. You don't have to receive. Most receivers aren't averaging 19 and 20 yards a catch like they used to. You used to have some guys that did that. Nowadays, most are in between 11 and 16, 7. Like this year, Tua or Tyreek's at 16 and a half. You know, he averaged 17 in Mahomes' first year with him. But I do think that's the yards per game is a huge difference, 30 yards.